This is the Seven Figure Agency Podcast. Discover the strategies and techniques to grow a highly successful and profitable digital marketing agency with your host, Josh Nelson.
We all know that choosing a niche is the fastest way to grow and scale our digital marketing agency. But sometimes, as the agency owner, it's hard to decide, like, what's the right niche? What should I consider? How do I make sure I choose the right niche to build my business around? If that's you, you're going to want to watch this video. So I'm going to unpack the complete guide to niche selection. All right, so let's get into it. You've probably heard a million times, I need to choose a niche. Maybe you've tried to choose a niche and you just haven't been able to land on that right vertical market to build your digital marketing agency around. Let's get into some of the tactical thought process you can do to confidently choose a niche that's going to win, that's going to work for you. So real quick, why being in a niche is the fastest way to grow your digital marketing agency. Number one is everyone wants to work with an expert in their type of business, right? At the end of the day, all other things being equal, if you run a roofing business and you're trying to find someone that can help you grow your roofing business, that can help you with your SEO and your pay-per-click and your social media, you got the chance to work with a local company in your local market. Let's say you're in Dallas, you can find a local agency in Dallas that works with everybody, or you can find a specific agency that specializes in roofing companies, has proven results, can talk to you, introduce you to 5 or 6 other roofing businesses. Obviously, it's more compelling to work with the niche specialized agencies, right? So that goes without saying. Your clients want to work with someone that specializes in their type of business. It becomes much easier to close the business, right? When you specialize in a vertical, like roofing, let's just say, and you've got roofing marketers, right? If we talk about Jim and Brian Niebler that grew from 17,000 in MRR to over 450,000 in MRR, recently sold the business to Job Nimbus. When they positioned themselves as the expert in roofing, it became so much easier to sell because they were positioned, they had a book, they had experience, they had great content, they had authority. And so when you're the expert in a niche, it becomes much easier. More of the people you meet with are interested, they see the value, and they say yes. The other big reason why you want to choose a niche outside of marketing and sales, because that's where we usually start. Oh yeah, it's going to be easier to sell, it's going to be easier to market. The biggest reason you want a niche is because it's easier to systematize and fulfill, right? If your goal is to build an agency that can provide money, that can provide freedom, that can provide impact, then you need to be able to remove yourself from the delivery of the business. How you build the website, how you write the content, how you claim the directories. When you're in a niche, you can really understand that industry. You can really understand what makes it tick. You can really understand what works versus what doesn't. And so by being in a niche, you can systematize it. And ideally, if your goal is to build the 7 figures and multiple 7 figures, because you're in a niche, that becomes very, very feasible. It's much easier to systematize your fulfillment. Number 4 is you can become really good, right? You don't want to just be average because let's face it, this industry, digital marketing, is extremely competitive and people want to do business with the best of the best that understand their industry. When you work with the same vertical, month in, month out, client after client, you and your team get really good at what actually makes the phone ring. What keywords really are important? What copy elements actually move the needle? You can become good, right? And you kind of give yourself a right to win, right? Not only are you claiming to be the expert, but you're actually developing expertise and you're innovating what you can bring to the table for your client base. And bottom line, now at this point, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of digital marketing agencies. We're on a mission to help 500 agencies go to 7 figures and multiple 7 figures. And at this point, we've got 117 agencies that have grown to 7 figures following this model. And I can tell you, and I get into these arguments all the time, the fastest way to grow is to choose a vertical, position yourself as the go-to expert, deliver world-class service in a streamlined way, and you can absolutely grow to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, and beyond. So that's just a little bit about why niche. Let's get into the specifics of how to choose the niche, which is really what I want to get into on today's video. What should you think about? What questions you should ask? How do you make sure you choose a niche that has wings, that has the potential to be effective? So the first question I like to think when we're trying to choose a niche is, do they clump together and or self-identify? In my case, working with plumbing and HVAC companies in our agency, Plumbing and HVAC SEO, we wanted to say, like, if we said we specialized in plumbers, would plumbing companies self-identify in that way? Could I say plumber SEO and a plumber would think that's for me? And the answer is yes. And so try and choose a niche where auto repair shops, roofing companies, chiropractic offices, bankruptcy attorneys, right? Where you could name the vertical and they would say, yes, that's me. Make sure that they would self-identify by a specific thing. Number two is, do they have a propensity to invest in marketing? And this is really important because there are certain industries that, yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah, they self-identify, but they don't actually spend money in marketing. So as an example, hair salons, tons of hair salons, they probably need social media. They probably need marketing, but as a whole, that industry doesn't spend a lot of money on marketing, right? They've got a location, they live off word of mouth. And so if they have any budget, it's a couple $100 versus attorneys, plumbing companies, home services, right? They're specific in it. If you look at those companies, they're spending a lot of money on SEO, on pay-per-click, on social media, historically in the yellow pages. And what we're looking for is an industry already spending money that we can help optimize and get better results versus trying to show them why they should market and convince them to give us a couple of dollars. I promise you, if you choose a niche that is already spending money in marketing, you're going to have a much easier path for yourself. Number three, are there enough of them? You want to make sure that whatever niche you're going to kind of focus on, that there's a large enough pool to really build a successful business. And, I would say if there's at least 10,000 in the vertical, it's probably a pretty good space. And there's been verticals and industries that we've seen success with in our community inside Seven Figure Agency that weren't on anybody's radar. I wouldn't have thought, hey, yeah, that's probably a great niche, but have been extremely effective. Just as an example, Danny Barrera and Concrete Marketing Crew focuses on decorative concrete companies, the companies that will come in and redo the flooring of your driveway or your garage and make it look cool without putting down pavers. There's a whole industry around that. He set up his niche, Concrete Marketing Crew, and has grown it to multiple seven figures. So just make sure there's enough of them and they have that propensity to spend so that as you build your authority, as you start to develop your case studies, as you start to develop notoriety, it's got the bandwidth to really support a seven-figure or multiple seven-figure agency. Number four, in my mind, I really think this is important, is there an industry association for that vertical, for that niche that you're going to be focusing on? And in most industries, there is, right? An industry association would be the National Roofing Association, the Plumbing Contractors Association of America, right? These associations exist in just about any vertical you can imagine. But it's important that you can identify it because one of the key strategies that you can leverage to position yourself within an industry, within a niche, is to join that industry association, gain access to their member database, be able to call yourself an affiliate partner within the organization, plug into their live events where they get together. If you can identify an industry association, you're going to be missing out on some of the low-hanging opportunities that you could leverage to plug in and gain notoriety within that space. Number five is, do they have periodic events? Is there a gathering happening on a national basis, annually, quarterly, potentially monthly across the country? If you think about dentistry, for instance, there's absolutely the National Dental Association. There's huge national conferences that happen in major cities across the country that you can plug into. There's regional conferences, like in every city across America, there's a gathering of dentists coming together, and they go for continuing education in order to expand their licensing, to be on the cutting edge of what's happening within the industry. And so make sure whatever niche you're thinking about focusing on, that they have these gatherings, because you're going to want to be at those gatherings. You're going to want to exhibit. You're going to want to have a booth. You're going to want to look for opportunities to be the person presenting at the front of the stage. And if they don't have gatherings that are happening, that's an opportunity missed. So these are the main things I would want to think about and make sure, okay, whatever niche I'm considering, do they fit these criteria? The last thing you want to consider, and I think this is often overlooked and extremely important, is that do you have a background or affinity for the niche? You want to make sure that you've got a little of experience in the industry. Like, don't just pick, oh, I found a big industry, plastic surgery. They've got a high propensity to spend on marketing. They've got a national association that I could participate in. They've got these events that are happening. Josh, this is it. This is the one. But you've never done any business in plastic surgery. You don't know anything about it. You don't really even care about it all that much. That's going to be a big ask. That's a really, really big ask. I would really encourage you, make sure you choose an industry that you have some background in. If you happen to have worked in that industry in the past, if you've got clients in that industry in the past, if potentially your family ran a business in that industry, those are the types of background you want to be able to leverage because you'll have some experience, you'll have some connections, you'll have some potential wins that you can reference as you go into the space. A great example of this is Brian Stearman from Online Marketing. He runs an agency that specializes in landscaping companies. And I started working with him years and years ago as he was trying to make the transition from a generalist agency into a niche agency. And he was struggling with this conversation. You know, he was thinking about restaurants and he was thinking about a couple of different verticals. And I said, where do you have some background? Like, where do you have some past experience in a space that might make sense? And he goes, well, before this, I ran and sold a landscaping business. So he had built $1 million landscaping business, sold it, and decided he wanted to get into online marketing. And he wasn't thinking about going after the landscaping business. And more often than not, that's how people are thinking. I want to hop into something different. And what I said was, look, you've got the perfect story to tell these landscape companies, right? You can tell them you ran the business, you understand the struggles, you did your own marketing, and you were able to grow it and sell it. You're going to have such a more competitive advantage than somebody that's trying to enter that niche without any background. Well, I was able to convince him to go into that space. Within a matter of less than a couple of years, he had built a really strong multiple seven-figure agency serving that space and continues to thrive today. So don't forget about, do you have some background there? Do you have some experience there? And do you have some affinity, right? Do you actually like the industry? Do you have any interest in the industry? Is there any passion there? Don't let that be your only consideration. But if you're going to work with this industry day in and day out, you're going to be at their events, you're going to be creating content for them, you might as well make sure that you've got an industry that you want to play in and that you have mutual respect for the people that you're going to be working with. So I want you to think this through as you're thinking about the niche. Make sure that you've checked all these boxes. Make sure that you've thought this through because this is really important. Now, I want to share some of the top niches that we've seen success in seven-figure agency because sometimes it's like, oh, okay, there's a million different industries. What are some of the ones that I can look at that are kind of primed and have proven results within a space? So in my mind, it kind of comes into a couple different categories. One of my favorite categories is home services because it's very search dependent. So you can do SEO, you can do pay-per-click, you can do social media marketing, you can do database reactivation. And most of these companies recognize they have to market to the home consumer and get their interest in order to generate leads, in order to generate sales. And they're already spending on marketing. So home services, when you think about it, you've got remodeling, air conditioning, plumbing, landscaping, roofing, electricians, pest control, locksmiths, garage door installation, repair, the list goes on and on, right? Home services is a great space. The one thing I will caution you is that home services is not a niche, right? You might say, I'm gonna have my niche be home services in general. That's not specific enough. Nobody self-identifies as a home service contractor, and the industry is just too large. So you want to go specific, right? So if you're going to focus and say that you're niche focused, choose roofing or painting or floor installation or window contractors, right? Be specific within the space. So home services is a great space. Obviously, we built our entire multiple seven-figure agency serving the plumbing and HVAC industry. And at this point, I know a large percentage of our seven-figure agency members are serving the various subdivisions and subgroupings of home services. Now, you've also got healthcare, right? And when you think about healthcare, I'm not talking about your general doctor, right? That's a very tough niche. They don't have a propensity to spend. Most of them are insurance-based. So when I talk about healthcare, dentists, and that's within dentistry, you've got dental implants and you've got, all of the higher end Invisalign type services, chiropractors, cosmetic surgery, weight loss centers, eye doctors, day spas, veterinarians, right? Within healthcare, there's a lot of local businesses that are spending money on marketing that you can use SEO and pay-per-click and Facebook ads and other advertising platforms to help them generate new patients and new revenue growth. We've got a lot of members that are doing really well within the healthcare space. Now, another great vertical is legal, right? And within legal, you've got bankruptcy, personal injury, divorce, criminal, traffic. I'm going to also encourage you here. Oftentimes, well, you know what, that's enough of a niche. I'm just going to focus on legal, right? I'm just going to be an internet marketing agency for law firms and for attorneys. If you don't have a ton of expertise and experience in this space yet, try to drill down on a specialty within legal, right? So go divorce attorneys or bankruptcy or personal injury. There are many agencies that I know running multiple seven-figure and even eight-figure agencies just serving personal injury attorneys. And so a mistake people make when choosing their niche is trying to say, I'm going to go after all healthcare, right? Nobody identifies as healthcare. But if you say, I'm going to work with dental implants, dentists that want more dental implants, that's very specific. That resonates, and you can really get good at delivering results in that sub-market. Now, you've also got automotive, auto dealers, auto repair, body shops. Auto dealers is tough. Like, there's lots of them. They do have a high propensity to spend on advertising, but they've got very specific rules and regulations. They've got very specific inventory management systems. If you're not already deep into the auto dealer space, I would shy away. But auto repair and auto body, very ripe for opportunity. And then you've got your various business to business, right? There's an opportunity serving B2B providers like sign companies, print companies, document imaging companies, where as long as they self-identify, as long as you can roll a strategy out that actually generates leads and sales, it can work really, really well. Now, these are the ones we've seen the most success in. We've seen people also do well in real estate, right? Real estate brokers and mortgage brokers, very tough industries, right? Make sure you know what you're doing before you try and enter that space. Insurance companies, high-end financial wealth planners. If you've got affinity and you've got background and you know that they self-identify and you know that there's an association that you can plug in, any of these verticals can help. So hopefully this helps kind of get your juices flowing. Yes, there's a lot of different verticals and a lot of different industries you consider, but this should help you kind of say, hey, you know what? Within any of these, where do I have that background? Where do I have that personal passion that I feel like I'd want to spend time within this space? And so I've got a great little worksheet that I have for you and a little deep dive training on this I'd like to share. But basically what I'd love you to do is pick your top 3 verticals and just go deep and think about what's the industry? Do I like this industry? Would I want to spend time with them? Am I passionate about what they do? Results. Can I get them results? Do I feel in my mind that there's a clear path that I know if I do this, this, and this, I can get them an outcome. I can get them a result. And then will they pay, right? Do we know that this is an industry that already spends money on marketing? I want you to choose 3 and then put them into those 3 columns. And then from there, don't overthink it. The best thing I can suggest as it comes to kind of choosing your niche and really going in and developing your program for that industry is most people get stuck on paralysis of analysis. Okay, there's so many niches. Let me do all this research. Let me do this data research. And you don't do anything, right? What you need to do is spend a couple of hours, shortlist 3, and then select 1. Select 1, and you can choose that as your hypothetical niche. That's okay, I don't know 100%, but I'm probably going to focus on this and give it 6 months, right? Get a list of prospects, do some outreach, schedule some appointments, and see if you start to get some traction within that industry, right? So hopefully this helps. If you want to go deeper on this, I've got the 7-Figure Agency Roadmap Implementation Program that walks you through the entire 7-Figure Agency model with the main focus on this idea of choosing your niche, developing your program packaging, and then going out and getting appointments and sales within that industry. If you'd like to access that, which has the niche selection worksheet, has the list of top niches that you can focus on, you can access that at 7figureagency.com/roadmap, completely free of charge. So 7figureagency.com/roadmap, go check that out, get into the worksheet, make a wise decision, and I cannot wait to see you elevate your agency within the niche by simplifying your model, delivering better results, retaining your clients at the highest level possible. So that's it for today. If you got value from this video, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted as we roll out new videos. If you know of an agency that's struggling with this right now, like they know they want to go niche, but they just can't really decide, share this video with them. And if you have follow-up questions, post them in the comments. Let me know what niche you're considering, and I look forward to seeing you on a future video.